All right, so my name is Petey, and if you'd like, you can call me Angela. That's my birth name. Uh, and this is Cat Church. So welcome to Cat Church. We do this maybe once or twice a month, and we get together just to tell cat stories. And um, I think it started with Anna and Marek like talking about doing this, and so it's kind of gained some popularity with the friends that we have, and so I'm happy to have you all here. Um, anyway, I'm gonna get started with a little cat story about one of the kitties I told you about last time that I grew up with. Her name was Kiffy, and I'm just gonna tell a little bit about her for in case you weren't here last time. Um, she was given to me by my mother for my ninth birthday. A little teeny tiny kitten my mom put in my hands, and she was a Siamese calico. So she she had a very strong purr like her whole life, like just very healing, like because I told you before when I last shared that she really helped me get through some difficult times, especially with my father, who was pretty overbearing and a very authoritarian figure. But Kiffy would go in and out of the house because we lived on a suburban farm, and she would just prowl around the property, and she was a little she was sometimes going to heat, so she did end up having a couple litters of kittens in the time I had her. But the thing I wanted to share today about Kiffy was I was reminded by Marek's story of when his cat Charnusha got lost. And it happened with Kiffy one time that I went out to call her to come in at night and she never came home. And so for the next all throughout the night, I kept calling for her and she wouldn't come back. And I was starting to panic. And I think it was the next day, we had one of the biggest storms I've ever seen in Utah, like snowstorms. And it was just, I mean, piles of snow. It was like maybe like 4 to 5 feet of snow that fell in like the space of like a few days. And I've never in my life seen that much snow. Of course, we couldn't go anywhere because we were snowed in at home. And Kiffy still hadn't come back by the time we had this snowstorm. And being only 10 years old, I think I was. So Kiffy was still pretty small. She was maybe 1 or 2 years old by the time this happened. And finally, they got the roads cleared and everything, and the school bus could take me to school. So I just remember crying and crying because she wouldn't come back. And I was going out there every day and I was walking through the snow, my little body, because I was just a child, walking through this deep snow up to my waist, like trying to find her. And uh, I would call her name and I just had tears streaming down my face. Like I'd be out there all day and night looking for her. And when I go to school, I remember drawing little cartoons of her on my desk with tears just streaming down my face. And I just couldn't stop crying because I thought she was dead. And she, I pretty much, after about 3 weeks, I just gave up. I thought, she's not coming back. Like, I had been praying so hard. This is the funny thing about me. I don't pray unless I want something or unless I need help. So when Kiffy went missing, that was like the biggest crisis I thought I was ever going to have in my life. And I just kept praying and praying. However, I did that as a kid, and she still hadn't come home. And then one night, I remember I was deep, deep in sleep because I had cried myself so hard to sleep that I was passed out pretty much. And I heard this faint, like little, like meowing, and I was like, "Oh, I must be dreaming. That can't be true." And my parents were really worried about me because my mental health was just really suffering at this time. um, Thinking that she had been hurt, or somebody took her, or somebody hurt her, or she got hit by a car, or she got stuck in a barn somewhere because of the storm, and uh so I hear this little meow, and my sister and I shared a room my whole childhood, and my sister was asleep next to me, and next thing I know, my parents, they woke me up, and they're like, Angie, look, Kiffy came back. And they and they were both so excited, like just so relieved almost that their child won't be suffering anymore, you know. And Kiffy came home, but I think by this point it looked like she had run off with a boyfriend, one of her little cat boyfriends, and it looked like she had gotten pregnant while she was gone. Um, so that could have been the reason she was maybe in heat and ended up having a little escapade. Um, but yeah, that was like a miracle that happened to me with my cat, and she ended up living with me another, till I was 21 years old, so another 10 or 11 years after she came back that time. And so that's my little story for today. And you guys are welcome to share if you want. I know we don't have a whole lot of time. Um, maybe I'm thinking maybe 25 more minutes. So whoever would like to share next, just go ahead.
Uh,
Yeah, go ahead, Mark.
Actually, I realize I don't have anything planned for today other than um, I noticed on my in my hall. I told you last time that the Charnusha was found in the strange piece of furniture, the kind of a folding table, and I've noticed this folding table is still there. So this is and also, what I notice in my surroundings is that there are very few stray cats these days. I remember that they used to be like about 12 or so cats in the school opposite me, and I don't see any of those cats anymore. Maybe there is this program of neutering stray cats and releasing them. Maybe it works so well that there are no more stray cats, but it feels a little bit awkward, I must say. This I don't know how it is in your in so it must be a little bit different. Oh, by the way, how is this orange cat family doing that you were worried about? Do you have any news about them? Those.
Oh, the colony that I feed and take care of.
Mhm.
I'm actually going to visit them today, and I don't know if they'll be very active at the time of day I'm going to be there because I'm going over there right after this is over, to take some meat to my friend that lives in the building. He helps me feed him every day, so I don't have to drive my car every day to go. But I do want to check in on them. And the thing is, I haven't seen the mama cat that had the little kittens. I haven't seen her in a long time because now downtown there's all this construction that's going on that's pushing the cats out.
Mhm.
And now there's going to be construction at the site where I feed them. And I'm trying to network with my rescue to find out if there's anything we can do. The only advice they've given me so far is to ask around the neighborhood to see if we can move the shelters and the feeding station to someone else's property. But everywhere I go, there's construction. So I
Mhm.
don't know what to do. I'm just at a loss. And I'm worried that the mama cat with her babies has they're a year old now, but I'm
Mhm.
worried that they've been pushed out by some of this that's going on. Thanks for asking, though.
Has any of those kittens been adopted that you?
So the ones I showed you in the video, the little ones that were inside the shelter, we got all of those adopted. And but
So,
she's had another litter since then that I
oh,
wasn't able to get in time. So
mhm.
I do my best, but sometimes they hide them so well that I don't notice they've had kittens till it's like 8 weeks later, and then they're almost too. We say they're too spicy to get adopted by that point. Like they're just nobody wants to end up with a really feral kitten, you know. So
Mhm,
sometimes we just have to trap them and release them back.
mhm.
Hi, Jeff. Are you there? It looks like it says you've been connecting to audio for a while. I'm not sure why it says that, but Sam, do you have any cat stories to share? Oh, I think you're muted, Sam.
Now I'm unmuted. Okay. Yeah, I don't think I have any cat stories that come to mind. You know, I have to think about it. But I had a cat named Taz. He passed away, I don't know, about a year and a half, 2 years ago, something like that, in November of not last year, but the year before. So, but and I don't know. I don't. It's hard for me to come up with any cat stories, but the animals. Just thinking about Taz and just thinking about cats in particular puts me in a different frame of mind or gets me in touch with like different energies in my body or different movements, you know. Like my dog died the other about 2 months ago now, and I grieve over it, and it's different. I love that dog, and it was real special, but it was a whole different world. It was like pure love with Pearl, you know. And Taz, it was a little more finicky and a little more nuanced and stuff. But cats are like that, and you sort of co-evolve with them to take into account all their differences and all their like who knows how many past lives they've been or how they were royalty before and they still have that memory or something like that, you know. And it's yeah it's I don't know, it's something for me to sort of open up to. I don't know, I'm too closed down like as a human about staying in my humanness and not being open to the playfulness and stuff that those cats brought, you know. So I don't know. It's a real important thing for me to honestly think about that and be like, what am I holding myself back about, and how can I get in touch? Because animals always teach me things. But cats, I don't know. We have always been sort of, maybe I was scratched by a cat when I was young or something like that. Because I'm a little distant and hesitant in my mind for some reason. But the cat stories encourage me to get on my edge about that and play with my threshold, my inner kitty, you know.
Inner kitty.
Yeah. So yeah, it's encouraging me to kind of go let my brain go to places where maybe those stories are, maybe those memories are stored or something like that. So I appreciate just sitting with it, and you know, I appreciate you guys holding this cat energy space because it's different for me. You know, my inner kitty's is shy about jumping around or doing things or whatever, like the inner child or whatever. But it's interesting to kind of explore that way and how intelligent these animals are. Anyway, I mean, now the juices are starting to get flowing, and after I've spent my time, I finally get to a point where I'm going and going, you know. But I want to leave some space for if other people have stories. But I do appreciate being opened up to this because these animals are incredible, and their
Oh,
personality and their intelligence and things. And I'd love to hear if anybody else has stories about it, about
thank you,
cats, you know.
Sam.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we are
I don't know why it says Jeff is connecting to audio. Can you guys see that?
Mhm.
I'm not sure if he's even in the meeting really, but
Yeah, I can see 5 people connected together.
yeah.
Only UPD and Sam is on the screen. Sam, on my part, I wanted to say how much I appreciate that you joined this cat meeting, although you have some reservations, or you're not sure about being a cat person yourself, but still you joined us, and we appreciate it very much that you are with us today. Thank you.
Mm.
Thank you for your
Yeah,
interest.
thank you, Sam.
And Oji just showed for a second on the screen, and
Yeah, he's sitting next to me now. Anna always says, "Oh, Petey and OG will be there." So I don't know if you know this, Sam, but I've been house sitting for the past 3 weeks for my parents, and they
Mhm.
have a cat named Luigi. So I've been taking care of 2 households plus Luigi plus all the chores I have to do for all that, and
Wow.
driving back and forth and making sure I've always got gas in my car, which is another thing I have to do today.
Mhm.
But anyway, they just got home last night, so I'm finally back to my house with OG now, full
Mhm.
time instead of splitting my time between 2 places.
Mhm.
Yeah,
he has
people know I'm a big animal lover, so they'll say, "Oh, can you come and watch my dogs
Ah.
and cats while I'm on vacation?"
Yeah. She loves it so much she'll do it for free.
Almost sometimes it feels like,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
with my expenses with food and gas and everything, it's like, yeah. So
Yeah. Interesting. Interesting, like that inner kitty. I hope that inner kitty does something for us. Awakening our inner kitty, or our getting over our shyness about jumping like a kitty, taking risks, or thinking about that might not be something that you guys have to do. But Roshi's been talking a lot about fear lately and things, and I don't know much about the sudden way of Zen, but I do think that some kitty instinct about when to jump and how to move and how to learn and how to do things when us humans are like, and somehow don't know how to move that way,
yeah,
and
like we're
oh,
holding ourselves back or
mm-hmm. Yeah, or like we're clinging to a way of life that's full of fear and full of angst or something. We could just bounce around and dance, but somehow we feel inhibited, and we created that. But boy, wouldn't that take some kind of fancy degree to get down in there and go, okay, we can release ourselves from that, and whatnot. And there's a whole thing there, But instead of getting into the intellectual, a whole thing about whatever, just own our inner kitty,
I love that,
And,
the inner kitty.
Yeah, and they seem to know the every answer that we are looking for, searching for our whole life, and they seem to know it, how it is, the meaning of life, what is it all about, what to say what's appropriate. When I heard some difficult question or some Zen story, I'm looking for a cat that he or she would know what to say about it, and all those important things that like the most important things in life itself, death, love, friendship, they know all about it. They seem that the affection. Somebody I remember, don't remember who, but remarked how tender cats can be. Somebody said that he or she remembers the cat's paw on the face of this person, and how tender it felt, and it seems unreal when we experience it, but
Yeah, I recently had a pretty gnarly cold, and I got that like it was maybe like a month ago, but I ended up getting a pretty bad cough because I have asthma. And anyway, OG knew I was sick. He would come and comfort me, when I would have coughing fits or be laying in bed feeling that malaise. He would come and snuggle me and lay on me, and he just knew something was not right, that I just wasn't feeling good. And
Mhm.
luckily I got better pretty quickly, but yeah, he definitely has almost like a sixth sense where they I think cats have a really strong intuition. Like
Mm.
they just understand in a way
Mm.
that we can't comprehend, but
Mhm.
in a way they do have this ability to discern things. I don't know how it works, but it does.
Mhm.
They trust their own authority. You know, they
Mhm.
don't
There you
take time
go.
to think and deliberate. They just go. And if they get hurt, they'll move real fast and get out of that, and they'll learn. And sometimes they hold on to their own conditioning so they could use some of our higher wisdom and some of our being real loving with them, but they have a lot to share with us. And they have a lot to show us of how we have to share with them. Because, I couldn't be so patient to take care of a finicky cat, and just I wouldn't know what to do, and I'd be upset. Some people really have that, stretching themselves beyond their human limits, or taking care of a child or something, but it's
Yeah.
really where we meet, I think, that shows us about, even the great matter of part of us has a peaceful transition. I don't want to say part of us dies off so that a part of us can take care, but part of us does go through a transition to where we can take care. I don't know where that came from, but it's how we are together. They teach us about our own sense making in a way that's different, because they just trust themselves. They just go there. And that's sudden, like with what Roshi would maybe try to talk about, is beyond words. And that's just me saying that. I don't know for sure, but that's the kind of story that's coming to me, inspired by cats and things. Maybe not my cat, because he had his own personality, but just by cats. And I've never thought
Yeah.
about different cats and different personalities. That can come up for me. So I really, it does interesting things for my brain. Meow.
Yeah, and and cats seem very spontaneous, like just like when I'm watching some of my feral cats, they'll do really funny things. Like when I'm out trapping, sometimes all of a sudden one of them will just jump on a tree trunk and climb it all the way to halfway, and they're up there really high, like just looking down, like or they scratch on it like a little scratching post.
Mm-hmm.
Jennifer, I heard you just say something. Are you taking care
I
of
was
someone's?
talking to a kitty.
Oh, okay.
I just got to a visit. And so I had to let this kitty out. He goes out in the morning. And so now I'm on the couch and I can't get my phone to actually turn on my camera. Oh, wait. Oh, here I am. Looking like the morning. Um, I love the idea of the inner kitty. I definitely feel that I have an inner kitty, and just so much of what you said, some about the energy of cats and how about their authority and their trust for themselves. That's just wonderful. I've had a breakthrough with my little Biscuit just in the last couple of days. She was traumatized as a kitten, and I think I've mentioned before that I can't just walk up to her and pet her. She got into a terrible state last summer. I was very busy, and I guess I wasn't paying attention, and I turned around one day and saw that she just looked awful. She had lost weight. She had this weird sort of crest going up the middle of her forehead. And so somehow, with my mom's help, I got her into a carrier and took her to the vet. And he said, "Well, it's sort of feline dementia, and it affects the appetite centers, and that's why she's
Oh.
not eating." And I felt horrible because I had not noticed this while it was happening, I guess. And he said, there's really nothing you can do and it's not your fault. But I felt that it was my fault, that I had not been spending enough time with her and she was lonely. The other cat that I had, Archie, had just gone missing a few weeks before, and she had been mourning him and very lonely. And so I started this practice that I've continued since, where every night before I go to bed, I go in onto the couch and lounge there, and she comes over and gets petted and purrs, and I talk to her. It varies from half an hour sometimes to a couple of hours other times, and I get to bed far too late. And then my mother, who lives across the hall from me, makes a visit to her every day while I'm out working for half
Oh,
an hour or so to sit with her. And so the night before last, I was on the couch, and if I cover my legs with a blanket, I stretch my legs out across the couch, so I'm sort of half reclining. And with the blanket on, she had started to sometimes come down onto me, which she hasn't done since the first year maybe that I had her. And even then, she never really settled in. But the night before last, after a few times across me, I kept patting my legs, and she got onto them and settled in and stayed there for a while, curled up, and I got to pet her and love her. And she left, and then she came back. She did it several times, but stayed on me for quite a long time,
oh,
purring and being petted. And then she got up onto the back of the couch by me like she does. And I have never seen her looking so relaxed, just sitting there, stretching out a paw for my finger and just looking so happy. Oh, and I didn't mention that, you know, the vet had said that all of this was irreversible, the physical damage. But I had noticed right before I took her to the vet too that she wasn't eating as much. And so I changed her food. I got the highest protein food at the Shishi pet food store next to me, and started this regimen of spending more time with her. And within 2 weeks, she had filled out and the weird fest thing was gone, and she looked fabulous. So it was kind of a miraculous reversal. I still feel awful that I didn't notice that that was happening, but she is blossoming. She's going to be 14 years old, I think, in
oh,
August maybe. And this is the first time this has happened.
what a sweetheart. Oh,
She is such a sweetheart. The little spirit of my home.
so we have 6 minutes left, and I don't want it to just cut us all off before we can say goodbye, but thank you to everybody who shared, and I'm sorry we couldn't do an hour session today, but I really don't have a reason to have a full business account if I never host meetings. So this was our only option because Anna and I couldn't figure out how to add me to her account. So it was a big thing we were working on and it didn't work out. So anyway, thank you, Jennifer, for sharing, and Marek and Sam. And it looks like Jeff finally connected. Hi, Jeff. Can't hear anything. Yeah, so Marek, you don't see feral cats wandering your neighborhood anymore?
No, not really. Maybe it's just somewhere else. But the most feral cats I had in my life was Charnusha, the one that get lost. And you remarked that it's difficult, and I think if I wanted to have a cat, I would be difficult to choose her, but she was with her sister that was more socialized. And I had this well socialized cat all the time with me, and I just allowed Charnusha to be what she wanted to be. And it took her literally 10 years to learn to climb on my knees, and she opened up. She lived almost 20 years, and it was very, very touching because those baby steps that she took towards socialization, it took really a long years, but it was because of this you could feel how difficult it was for her to do it. But knowing this or realizing this, to see those steps was very, very moving for me. And one more thing about her, since Sam mentioned as Zen master, she wasn't the smartest cat. The other cats were quickest to learn tricks and to outsmart her. But she was a black cat, and sometimes she forget to hide her tongue, and she looked kind of I would say funny or silly with her tongue hanging out.
Yeah, we call
And
that a blep. A blep.
Yeah, so when I saw her like this, I started to call her Manjushri, which is the bodhisattva of wisdom. But
Yeah.
so it was a joke on my part, but when I realized, like, you know, how wise she is, not being smart, but how wise. I thought, you know, if this bodhisattva would choose some incarnation where this bodhisattva would incarnate into, what body she would choose, why not this? Why not her?
Yeah. All right, we have 2 minutes left. I just want to be able to say goodbye to you guys and thank you for
Thank you,
sharing your
Petey.
cat stories. You're welcome. And I really enjoyed hearing that Biscuit is, you know, making an effort
Aw.
to be so sweet. And, you know, she's sweet all the time, even if they're not cuddly. I've had a cat like that too. Her name was Isis, and that's a story for another day. But they're all precious in their own ways,
Yeah,
despite
precious,
their
yeah.
different personalities.
Mm-hmm.
It was
Thanks
a
so
gift.
much, you guys.
All right. Well, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you for making space for the inner kitty.
Hey Sam, I think
No.
I'm gonna send you a request on Facebook because I saw you pop up on my people I should know.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
I
that's
think
fine.
it would
I
be
usually...
cool to be connected.
Oh yeah, definitely. I don't know how my Facebook looks, but I'm on there. So yeah, the more the merrier, you know.
Great, awesome. All right, you guys, we'll see you next time.
Bye. Bye, everybody.
Sounds
Bye-bye.
good. Take
Thank
care, you
you.
guys.